Gaetan, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. A little bit stressed first podcast, but yeah, it's going to be all right.
Oh, mate, it certainly will. It certainly will. We are in our pop-up studio in London,
Yes.
and it was a really nice surprise to see you at breakfast this morning. And I was like, oh, I've got such a full schedule, but I really want you to come in. So thanks for making the time to come in.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. It's a cool little space, isn't it? And it's not.
Yeah.
There's so many interesting people in the health world. I wanted to do something special before the event this weekend. So this is going to be a special podcast. And one of the things that I love doing on this podcast is sometimes it's like news events. So what's been happening this week, and sometimes it's more the stories behind some of the people in the wellness and biohacking world. So I'm really fascinated to know your story. Firstly, you're bloody young. How old are you?
26.
26, and you've got your own. I mean, tell people about your business, and then we'll go back into the story.
Yeah, so I run a skincare business in the biohacking space or in the health space. It's called Mythos. Started about, I think it's 13 months now. Have been working on it for 2 years until we started it. Basically, clean skincare, biohacking skincare, without all the nasty stuff. Anti-aging creams, peptide serums. Really advanced skincare, basically made in Switzerland. So that's how we started. So that's what Mythos is about.
Yeah. And you picked the most expensive country in the world to make your product.
Yeah. I could have done it anywhere else, to be honest. I could have done it in Germany, but I thought everyone knows that Switzerland is the shit.
Yeah.
It's the same like Swiss watchmaking, basically. So I said, okay, let's make it in a country that's very well known for this. And compared to the US, they banned 1,600 chemicals, and in the US only 11.
No way.
Yeah, so that's the crazy part. So that's why I said, okay, I'm gonna pay a little bit more. I'm gonna charge a little bit more, but the quality is just gonna be exceptional.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Look, and the products are amazing. So congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
We will get to what you're doing with Mythos Men and Mythos Women in a second. But first, how did you get here? How did you end up at 26 with such an incredible brand? Take me back to the beginning and how you got into health and wellness.
Okay.
Because just to interrupt, when I was 26, I was just going to the pub every night.
Yeah. If we have to go back, I have to go back to when I was probably 16. I used to have a lot of skin problems, acne, like a lot of young guys, I would say, and young girls. I would go to the doctor and they would just prescribe me vitamin A, tretinoin. And it would basically make my skin worse, dry out my skin even more. My skin would be super dry, so I would be using just the normal stuff, Nivea. Would make my skin worse for years. Keep using the product until I basically got into health.
So you weren't into anything else in terms of health. You just had bad
I was
skin.
I was just going to the gym, and eventually how I got into biohacking it's a funny story. I started reading about the golden era of bodybuilding and all the people like Frank Zane, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was reading, okay, what do they actually eat? And they were eating eggs, they were eating steak, and I was like, oh, this is what they've been telling on the news that we should avoid, and we should be eating bread and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, something is going on there. So I started researching this stuff, started eating more steak, more eggs, and eventually my health got better. You know, I was having gut issues, skin issues, which are definitely related. And then I went to the doctor, did a check for testosterone, and I saw that my testosterone was just in the middle, like nothing super high, nothing super low, but I was checking the ranges, and the ranges were nothing special until I started looking deeper, and I saw that the highest level of testosterone used to be normal 50 years ago. And I was like, okay, something is going on here. So I started reading about stuff, what could help basically for testosterone. Certain supplements such as Shilajit, eating steak, eggs, working out, doing sprints. But one other thing that I realized was, okay, skincare. So basically most of the skincare contains parabens, forever chemicals, synthetic fragrance, which basically mimics estrogen in the body. So I was, okay, something is going on here. I need to stop using the normal stuff such as Nivea. And then I did a test, I think it was 3 months later, of course, optimizing all the other stuff like diet and working out, sleep, circadian rhythm. And I went back to my doctor and they asked me, "Are you on testosterone?" And I wasn't on testosterone because my
right. So he did tests, and your testosterone had gone up, and he thought you were taking
higher than the highest level they had
right
in their ranges, which used to be normal like 50 years ago. My grandfather probably had this testosterone just by living normally and drinking beer on a weekly basis. So I said, okay, skincare. I've always been interested in taking care of myself, how I look, because I feel like presenting yourself is like your visit card, basically, is the first impressions matter. So I was looking into a natural hair wax because I always use waxes, but I was using a hair wax that was basically, if I would be walking into this room, you would be smelling it like in whole this room. That's how strong the smell of this hair wax was. And I was like, okay, what's actually in this product? Synthetic fragrance, just perfume on there. So I said, I need to find a natural hair wax, but something that actually works, that keeps my hair in place. So I started, when I was living in Portugal, formulating my own hair wax, but I soon realized, okay, this is not gonna work. And then I said, okay, so many regulations to make skincare in Europe, way more than the US. How am I gonna do this? I started looking, okay, you cannot really make it at home unless you have these certain regulations. I was making different formulas, didn't work. Then I said, okay, I'm just not gonna do it. Few months went by. Eventually, another guy said, I'm looking for a natural hair wax on Instagram, a guy with quite big following. And I said, okay, this is my opportunity to bring this to people, make some money out of it.
So by this point, you're into health.
Yes.
And the skin is cleared up, but you haven't got your skincare business at the moment.
No. I was thinking about it. I was in Munich at that point together with my girlfriend Laura. And we were thinking of making this stuff ourselves. Then we went back to Portugal, started making it. It didn't work. Few months went by. Saw this guy posting it. And then I said, okay, now is the chance to go forward. Start looking for manufacturers just on Google. Found a manufacturer in Switzerland. Could have found it anywhere else, but Switzerland was just, for me, the way to go. Because
I just want to pause for a sec in the story.
Yes.
So basically, I just want to rewind a little bit. So you've had the bad skin, and you decide, and actually before you even looked at the skin, you really looked at bodybuilding. You were really into bodybuilding, right? And that's where you started eating the steak and the eggs and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And then the testosterone, you started giving up the creams.
Yeah.
And then did your skin clear up at that point when you gave up the creams, or?
Yeah, so I always want to tell people, because look, all the products at Mythos, they're not a wonder middle. They're very close to it, but they're not a wonder middle. So it's, of course, lifestyle is one part, just eating very clean. So I think that played definitely a role. My gut issues cleared up, so my skin cleared up. And then just the skincare, I also changed it because the funny thing is when I was using the normal stuff, my skin would dry out afterwards, even though I was...
That's rubbish. I mean, I used it for years.
Yeah.
And then did you start using natural stuff?
Yes, exactly. So then I started using tallow, 100% tallow creams, which was very upcoming. But there was one thing that bothered me about it, because it was basically feeling like sitting on the skin, like sealing your skin, like Vaseline. So I started looking into how it actually works with actives, so niacinamide, copper peptides. And then I found out that the thicker the cream, the harder it is to penetrate. So you can actually not deliver the active ingredients.
Well, I found that I was using tallow in the end, and I was getting dry skin.
Yeah.
Especially around the moustache area.
Yeah.
Okay, so then your skin started clearing out and you start to think, there's something in this healthy world. But you were still in your teens or 20s or early 20s when most people are going to the pub. So were you always a little bit different?
I always had, since 16, my first book I read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I always wanted to start some business. I didn't know what, but I wanted to start something. And eventually I met my girlfriend Lara, Miss Biohacker on Instagram, or at least she used to be called Miss Biohacker on Instagram.
We had a discussion about that at breakfast, didn't we?
She had a good amount of following, around 25,000 followers. So I basically learned a lot from her about this stuff, about hormone disruptors and what it does to your body, basically. And that a lot of men, their testosterone at the moment is super low because of all the plastics, all the xenoestrogens, not working out, sitting a lot. So yeah, was I different than most people? I don't know. I like to think so, but a lot of people like to think that they're different.
Yeah.
So maybe I was a bit, but I was also going out a lot. I was partying. I actually used to end up in a lot of fights until the point I said, now it's enough. I was drinking on a weekly basis, and then I just said, this is not it anymore. I need to change. And that's when I started looking into the golden era of bodybuilding and just put I always had a lot of anger in myself. I don't know why. But I think if, as a man, you can put your anger in something good, such as building a business, because I think business is very close to war. It's basically competing with other men or other women. So yeah.
So you must have loved have you read the Arnold Schwarzenegger book? That's a great book.
I actually didn't.
That's a really good one.
Really?
Yeah. And in fact, anyone in because he was basically an original biohacker.
Yeah.
He was looking, and of course he was measuring it because he was competing as well, and thinking about every different area where he could optimize his sort of wellness.
Yeah.
Even to the extent he says in the book, when he's driving, he's holding the steering wheel and he's just flexing his triceps while he's holding the steering wheel. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your first product, when you were making the hair wax itself, how are you trying to do it yourself?
I was basically buying beeswax, olive oil, and some other ingredients that I found on the internet that could work, and just heating it in a pot.
Yeah.
And basically making a wax out of it.
And it didn't work. It sounds like quite greasy.
Yeah, that was the problem. It did work, but it was nothing like what I have in my hair right now that would last for 24 hours. I tried, I think, around 20 products in Portugal, small apartment. But I just realized that this is not it, and I need to work with experts because I'm not a scientist. So I knew I have to work if I want products that people really like, and not have the homemade products that. So a lot of people in the biohacking space like to blame preservatives, but I think they're very necessary in high-end formulations, especially if you want to have active ingredients such as copper peptides, niacinamide, which is water soluble. Then you need emulsifiers to actually penetrate the skin. So I think it's very important to have, if you want skincare that works. Otherwise, you can just use olive oil on your skin and have a little bit of a fatty shine.
Yeah.
It's fine, but it's not going to reduce wrinkles, which was eventually what I wanted to achieve. I'm 26, but basically from the age of 20, I think it is, you start losing collagen. So you want to have ingredients such as copper peptides, which is basically a messenger in your skin that tells your body to start stimulating collagen again to reduce wrinkles. And that's the thing that most men and women, I would say, maybe women a bit more than men, because it's not really for men. And eventually I started for men, because you couldn't really find skincare for men.
So your first product was for men, wasn't it? And then you got women. Which is the more successful now?
Still men.
Still men.
Still men at the moment.
So now you've got two products, Mythos Men and Mythos Women.
Yes.
And what was it like when you launched?
So we basically gathered a lot of emails from people that were excited about this product through Tim Gray, who is now the investor of Mythos, Tim Biohacker, and through Lara, Miss Biohacker. On Instagram, a lot of people were asking, we want clean skincare, we want copper peptides, and we also want to use tallow because it was really booming, tallow at that moment, and nobody was combining it with active ingredients. There was one brand in the US, I forgot the name, they were using it. Yeah. And I was like, why is this not in Europe? And then I said, okay, I'm going to create this and I'm going to launch this in Europe and UK.
Yeah.
And then Tim started pushing it to his audience and he said, hey, there's clean skincare. It's a young guy that's making this. It's super clean.
It's not just clean, it's got the peptides in it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's important, isn't it?
Yeah. And we use some other very exciting ingredients such as Actoin, which is an extremolite. Basically protects against pollution. So in a city like London, it's the best thing you can use on your skin. So it doesn't only help stimulate collagen to reduce wrinkles, but it also helps your skin protect against environmental pollution, which basically causes free radicals and causes even more inflammation and wrinkles in your skin.
Yeah.
So
Great. So the products came out, and I'm interested. One of the great things about this weekend is hearing people's stories and how people are getting on. You and I were joking at breakfast about a post that I think you posted on Instagram yesterday about the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The absolute roller coaster, and I feel that as well. Just the various projects that I'm working on. One day, I don't know, you're checking your podcast stats or your meta ads or whatever it is, and you're like, this is brilliant. And the next day you're like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's intense, isn't it? And you must feel a particular pressure because I've got 30 years experience of having worked in broadcasting and have built up some reserves to back me.
Yeah.
But you're starting from scratch. So it's hard.
Yeah, basically used to work in hotels at the reception since I was 18, so I didn't study university or anything like that. And then eventually my last job was a steel factory, so it was night shifts, weekends, just working 7 days in a row. Completely different environment, didn't have any experience in business. My parents are not into business, just working a normal job, which is completely fine, by the way.
Yeah.
But it was not for me. And then I moved to Portugal with my girlfriend. We just made this crazy move. I saved up quite a bit of money by working since I was 18.
And that's where we first met, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where we first met. And yeah, I mean, Portugal in itself was quite a journey because I had to live from my savings and trying to build a business from scratch. So it was moving to a different country.
Yeah.
Always lived with my parents before in Belgium. And then moving to Portugal, which is a challenge in itself, and not speaking the language. And then starting Mythos with what was left on my bank, just going all in, not having a plan B, and saying, okay, this needs to work because people are looking for these kind of products. So, yeah, I mean, I had many sleepless nights, but I think this is part of it, and I wouldn't like to do it any other way. Just go back to a 9 to 5, which we were discussing before.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible.
Yeah. And then what are some of the, because obviously the brand is doing really well now and you've got the formulation right, you're still making it in Switzerland, you're still spending the extra bucks on making it just right. But what are some of the big W's that you've had with the business? Some of the high points. Because obviously that does sound hard when you're living in Portugal, you don't speak the language and you're using your savings to launch a business.
Getting Tim on as an investor. So the first 6 months I basically did a loan, just launching Mythos Men, which was a natural hair wax, anti-aging cream for men, and a detox face mask. And then when Tim came on, he said, so many women have been buying the men's cream or have been stealing the men's cream. We should bring something out for women. And then we launched and we basically doubled the company. And then by now we have a peptide eye serum. We're launching a pink face mask, which is not announced yet, with astaxanthin, B12 and beetroot, which is a crazy product. So basically our philosophy is making products that are one of a kind. You won't find them anywhere else. The formulations such as the anti-aging cream, which is tallow, copper peptides, niacinamide, Actoin, hydrolyzed collagen, and no synthetic fragrance, just sandalwood, frankincense oil. So we want to have only products that stand out, no white label, which is fairly easy to make otherwise, I could have said, just copy another product, put the name Mythos on it, and just make some crazy claims, because I could have made it in the US, and in the US, products that have, for example, a certain ingredient under 1%, they don't have to list it. Really? So there can be a lot of crap, such as parabens in there, that they don't have
Are
to
you
list.
serious?
Yeah, so
That is shocking.
at first I was talking with my manufacturer and I was seeing the formula and I was like, hey, why is this preservative in there? And he said, look, this is only 9 parts per million in there, which is 0.0009%.
Yeah.
And he said in the US they don't have to list this, so they can say, oh, this is only in there, only tallow, niacinamide, and copper peptides, for example.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
So that's how they're preserving it,
yes,
but they don't have to say it.
no.
Oh. So how do you preserve?
We also use preservatives, but we have to list them. But like
Yeah.
I said, they're in such a low amount, and some
Yeah.
people have been asking in the biohacking space, why do you use these preservatives? But we use clean preservatives that basically prevent mold from growing on there.
Yeah.
Because if you want something 100% natural, Mythos is not for you.
Yeah.
But if you want something that's high performing,
Yeah.
then Mythos is for you.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have a little bit of preservatives in there than having mold and fungi growing on there that you might not see, but that you're putting on your skin, and this will cause breakouts and other things, unwanted things, basically.
Yeah. So you launched the Mythos Women range.
Yes.
And how's it looking now? What are the other big wins that you've had recently?
UK is a big market, has become the biggest market since we're expanding there. Yeah, I mean, the biggest one is just we 10x the company since the start, which I would have not expected at all to grow that fast.
That's a pretty big win.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
We're making more revenue than I used to make in 2 years working at steel factory in a month. So this is a very, very big win. We're, of course, reinvesting a lot of stuff. So I think a lot of people underestimate that when you start a business, that they see these huge numbers and they think, oh, I can start to live like a king right now.
Yeah.
But if you want, or if you have a fast growing company, you have to reinvest a lot because you have to buy a lot of stock. And another big win is just I'm living the life I used to pray for. So I would say 2-3 years ago, I was hoping to have a job or be self-employed where I could work anywhere in the world. So right now we're sitting in London just on a random, I think it's Thursday. Look, I even forgot which day it is,
Yeah.
So you can basically wake up whenever you want. Of course, I'm not waking up at 12. I have a regular schedule. But I can be basically working from South of America. I can be working from New York, anywhere I want at any given time.
You can be working from Portugal, get beaten by my son at chess.
Exactly, by your son who's 5 years old, which is crazy. But yeah, you can be anywhere. You're meeting a lot of different people from anywhere in the world, which, I mean, I would say a lot of people are playing at level 1. Just in the hometown, which I used to have, just working in my steel factory 10 minutes from my home. And all of a sudden you move to Portugal and you see, oh wow, there is so much more going on. You can be meeting people like Gabriel, who's running another health brand. It's so these I would say are some of the biggest wins.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right, I want to ask you about your biohacking day, about your routine. What is your morning and daily biohacking routine? What do you do from the moment you wake up? What happens?
I would say it's not so biohacking approved as maybe some people like Brian Johnson and so in the space.
That's probably a relief.
Yeah, I would say maybe when I'm 40, it's gonna change. But as I said before, business is very close to war. So I basically wake up in the morning. I take a coffee on an empty stomach. So it's very against biohacking terms, but I feel like it works for me. I do get natural light in to stimulate cortisol, to get awake. I really want to be focused, so I'm not eating. I used to have breakfast in the morning, which I thought was very good. But when you want to be focused and tackle the first important tasks, I feel like I need this kind of tunnel vision.
I'm the opposite. For years I've intermittent fasted and not eaten until lunch, and then I've started eating breakfast on the advice of Dr. Walter Longo, and I feel bloody great now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, I feel it's easier to put on weight. trying to build muscle. It's hard if you're not eating till lunch. When are you going to eat? When are you going to eat all the calories?
I'm trying to lose weight. So.
Oh, well, can I have some of your weight?
Yeah. I'm 93 kilos at the moment, so I want to.
Are you? I'm 76.
Yeah, I want to go down to 85. So basically, what I do is I take a coffee. I take L-theanine, 200 milligrams, to not get the jittery effect from caffeine, because I like to drink specialty coffee that's free of mold and mycotoxins. And then I just basically go to my desk and get stuff done. And then whenever I get the chance, after a few hours, because I feel like a lot of people or entrepreneurs are saying, I'm having 12-hour working days, but I think that's bullshit. I don't think you can work actually 12 hours of doing deep work. So I try to have a walk just to get my brain off things, no music, and I try to get to 10,000 steps a day, which is very hard at the moment, but it increases testosterone, so I should be doing that more. I take Shilajit during the day.
Do you work out?
Yes, a bit less at the moment, but I try to do 3-4 times. I try to do sprints at the moment. I have been incorporating sprints, which I feel like is much better than just doing long runs, because it's putting more stress on your body. And I think as an entrepreneur, you already have enough. Yeah.
That's an important point, isn't it? And then in the evenings, talking of stress, how do you unwind?
I like to listen to podcasts. I like to take L-theanine too in the evening. I feel like it relaxes me more. Something I have been incorporating lately, which is not very biohacking, I would say, is CBD and THC. Not by smoking, but by eating gummies, a very low amount, but it's relaxing me, and just sometimes watching a movie, because I feel like it's one of the things that really puts my brain off stuff.
Well, that's important.
Yeah. And I enjoy, for example, right now when we're in London, just having a good dinner. A lot of people would see eating just as fuel. For me, it's just enjoying life, eating really good food, maybe having a drink, sometimes a red wine, organic, biodynamic wine. I think this is great. Yeah. So other than that, I'm not doing much of, I would say, biohacking.
Oh, you're a biohacker. Don't worry about that, Gaetan. You're a biohacker.
Using blue light blocking glasses in the evening, I think, is very important before going to sleep, especially when watching a movie. So yeah, that's about it.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming in to the pop-up studio. Where can people get involved with Mythos?
Mythos Men, Mythos Women on Instagram. Yeah. You can sign up to our newsletter. We're basically sending out weekly emails, not promoting all the time stuff, but just explaining what the actives do, what the products do, why Mythos is different than other products, other brands. Yeah, that's where you can find us.
Absolutely brilliant. I'm on that list, and congratulations on all your success so far. I figured out during this podcast you are exactly half my age, which is disgusting, but congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
And look forward to having a fun weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Mate.